So we are moving into another rich teaching and sharing from Alejandra Warden. Really looking forward to this. I've got to say, my heart is just so full from everyone that has been sharing so far, and we still have so many more people to share with us. At least a few more. We have Alejandra today, and then we have Karambu Ringera from Kenya, who will be with us tomorrow. And a little sneak information is that Will is going to do a short astrology forecast tomorrow. So if you are interested in astrology, then you might be interested in hearing a little bit about some possibilities of, not possibilities, but some of the transits that are going to be activated for the new year. So Alejandra, welcome.
Welcome, Alejandra. What a great joy to welcome you. And by way of introduction, I just would like to give just a little background about Alejandra. She's an inner spiritual leader from Argentina and California. And Alejandra is the founder of Essential Oneness. And she's a widely acclaimed teacher of feminine spiritual wisdom with a strong background in Christianity, Catholicism originally, and Sufism. And she is the author of El Llamado de mi Corazón, The Call of My Heart, and also a new book, which we just read, and it's remarkable, entitled Remembrance, A Vision of the Sacred Feminine and the Renewal of the Earth. So that just gives you a bit of a glimpse of Alejandra's gifts to this work and to the world. And Alejandra, we warmly welcome you.
And Alejandra, do you want to speak in Spanish or English?
I'm going to be speaking in English, except one little part that I'm going to be doing in Spanish, and I will let people know in advance.
Okay, great. Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Will and Cynthia, for organizing this beautiful retreat. Thank you, Semi, although you're not here anymore, for your sharing, which was absolutely beautiful. I also want to say thank you to Des, which is not here also, for her prayer, which was extremely meaningful. And definitely to Sylvia, which is the translator of our presentations. Thank you very much for this offering, Sylvia. So, hello, friends. I hope you're having a happy and peaceful holiday season. So we're gathered today here to say really goodbye to the year that is ending and welcome the beginning or the birth of a new year. Now, everyone here knows that the knowledge of the process of being born and giving birth since the dawn of humanity has been understood as a wisdom of the feminine, which is the teaching that I'm going to be giving today. In Spanish, the process of giving birth is called dar a luz, which means to bring light into the world. It is bringing the light of a soul into life. It is bringing its embodiment of spirit in matter. And this beautiful feminine act is made possible, potentially by all female beings on the earth. In this day, here in the United States and in the rest of the Northern Hemisphere, we symbolically celebrate the birth of light in the darkness of the longest nights of the year. The symbol of light, of the sun being born in the darkness, is somewhat similar to the seed of the plant pulsating in the depths of the ground of the earth, or developing in the fruit, or the baby growing in the dark, warm waters of the mother's womb. We also see this symbol in the yin and yang. Now, in my country of birth, Argentina, and in the rest of the Southern Hemisphere, in this date, we do not celebrate the birth of light because we are enjoying the longest days of the year and the shortest nights. So in the Southern Hemisphere, what we celebrate is the reign of light in all its splendor and power. So in the Southern Hemisphere, we celebrate this power of light in different ways. It is summer, it is hot. Many people are celebrating outdoors, in the yard, in the pool, in the river, in the mountains, or the sea. So the coming of the year is often celebrated with dances also, at times even in the streets, which continue until the dawn of the first day of the new cycle. So it's quite different how we celebrate in both places. But something that both celebrations share in common is the connection with time. Specifically, on days like this one, we share a common way of perceiving time that is not linear, like one day after the other, but rather circular, which is the feminine way of experiencing time. The end of the year and the beginning of another lead us to become aware of the passing of the cycle of time. And by observing the events that took place in the annual cycle that is ending, we naturally experience the impermanence of life, the constant change and the eternal birth, death, and rebirth that occurs at every moment. And this is really important. This constant impermanence, this unending and instantaneous process of birth, death, and rebirth is something of which we are really not quite aware of, in part because we don't live in the present. So then instead of the impermanence of life, what we experience is a sense of continuity that is created by the power of our memory, of how things were before, and of our desire, belief, and expectations of how things will be or continue to be. So it is during these celebrations, such as this one or birth anniversaries, that many of us become aware of the cycle that has passed, and then we notice the changes that have occurred, and we can see and experience the reality of the impermanence of life. This year cycle that is ending has been difficult for many, many of us. Many of us have experienced illnesses, deaths, feelings of loneliness, lack of work, school closings, and lack of connection with friends and family and the outside world. Many projects were canceled and many expectations were unfulfilled. But during this cycle, we were also able to experience what life would be in our cities or where the place that we live, without so much noise, without so much pollution, with a bluer sky, with more stars at night. We have enabled many of us to experience how it is to work from home. And we have been able to listen to the song of birds more than the honks of different cars going through our streets. And the most important thing that I think that also happened had to do with our societies and ourselves, because in this period, we had to think not only about protecting ourselves and our personal health and well-being, but also about protecting the health and well-being of our families and our communities. And I think that in one way or another had led all these changes, had led us to a new perception of life. It actually led us into having to reevaluate what was important for us, for each one of us. So now I would like to light a candle. for all those who suffer or have suffered losses of family, of work, of home, of acquaintances. Let us take a moment of silence and open our hearts and send love and compassion to all who, including ourselves, are suffering or have suffered losses. Thank you. And I'm going to light another candle. This time for all of us and others who have learned something important or have expanded their understanding and acceptance. And for all the hearts that have opened a little bit more during this cycle. And let's take a moment of silence and also of gratitude, because we, our communities, and the earth all need this greater love, understanding, and compassion to heal ourselves and the world. Thank you. Now we are going to say goodbye to the year that is ending, in particular in the Southern Hemisphere. Well, I'm going to recite a prayer from an author that unfortunately the name I don't know. And I will do it both in English and in Spanish. So please, if you can, stop the translation in Spanish during this time. And I will ask you, if you like, to repeat each line after me when I recite it in your own language. When we finish, we will spend a few moments to receive the new year. So it's in English first. As this year ends, I like to give thanks for all I have lived and experienced. Thanks for the joyful sunny days and for the sad cloudy ones. Thanks for the quiet afternoons and the dark nights. Thanks for the lonely days and for the work. For the difficulties and for the concerns. Thank you for everything that brought me closer to the need of my soul. And of the single essence that inhabits all. Soon a new year will start. And I pause for a moment before the year begins. I pray for faith to see the sacred in all things. Hope not to falter. And charity to love the divine more every day. And make those around me like thee as well. Please spread across the earth peace and joy. Fortitude and prudence. Clarity and wisdom for the new year that begins. May it be so. Amen. Now I'm going to recite it in Spanish. Lo voy a recitar en español. Al terminar este año, quiero dar gracias por todo lo que he vivido. Gracias por los días de sol alegres y por los nublados tristes. Por las tardes tranquilas y por las noches oscuras. Gracias por los días en soledad y por el trabajo. Por las dificultades y por las inquietudes. Gracias por todo lo que me acercó más a la necesidad de mi alma. Y a la esencia única que todo lo habita. Pronto se iniciará un año nuevo. Y me detengo un momento hasta el año de estrenar. Pido fe para ver lo sagrado en todas las cosas. Esperanza para no desfallecer. Y caridad para amar al divino cada día más. Y hacerte amar por todos los que me rodean. Suplico que derrames por la tierra la paz y la alegría, la claridad y la sabiduría, la fortaleza y la prudencia para el año nuevo que se inicia. Así sea. Amén. Ahora pueden volver a escuchar la traducción, porque hablaré en inglés. Now we're going to get ready to prepare to receive the new year. We are going to prepare to give birth to it. And we're going to do it within ourselves. We are going to dar a luz, to bring the light that we will become in this new year. And we are going to do it now by lighting our inner candle, by brightening the light of our soul so that it radiates ever more powerful through us. So we're going to go into this silence and check for a moment our heart, our candle, and see how it can brighten ever more and radiate through us, through our pores, through our bodies, and can reach everything we touch and everyone. Let's irradiate this love towards everyone that is here in the retreat. And to all the presenters, and to all who need it, our families, our community, the earth. Thank you. I don't know if we have a few minutes for questions or the time is due.
Yes, Alejandra, I think,
Definitely.
yes. Let's open it up to some questions and reflections.
And
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the beautiful prayers and insights. Very moving.
Very moving. So, it's always a little difficult to have contemplatives start speaking, especially after being silent for nearly 2 days now. So, but we've been doing fairly well. So is there anyone that would like to share any stirrings on your heart, any questions or reflections for Alejandra?
Alejandra, I was just so moved by the prayer. I was wondering if there's a way to get a copy of it.
Yes, of course.
I
Yeah.
would like that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
If you speak in Spanish, si hablan en español, yo lo puedo traducir al inglés si quieren.
Puedo hablar español, pero no tan bueno que el inglés.
No, you can do it in English. I was talking more for the people that speak Spanish and they might not know enough English.
Okay.
And so, Alejandra, if you can put it in the chat, or if you want to send that to us, then we can send it out in an email to everyone. That'd be lovely. Anyone else? And Natalia, I saw Bianca was praying with us. That was so beautiful.
That was so sweet.
Yes, actually, my question to Alejandra is that about how to teach or cultivate the light, the interspiritual light to children of this new earth. That for me sometimes it's quite difficult to, for example, now that I'm choosing a school for her, I didn't choose a Catholic school because of what happened to me in my Catholic school when I was younger. So now that these times are different and are in deep transformation, and you are also a mother, how do you recommend us or suggest us, or give us light in how to raise children consciously in this light that is shared among different traditions?
Thank you, Natalia, for your question. I have two experiences. One, many of you know that I used to found the first two Montessori schools in my country, in Argentina, and also some other, because I'm a mother of twins. And I had to go through that. Everyone thought that I was going to be the best mother because I had so much experience with children. When you have twins, doesn't matter your experience, you're always the first one. Having said that, for me, the most important thing that I discover is that kids come with their own connection with their soul. It's so much brighter than anything that we can teach them, that we can give them. So for me, the main important thing was, first of all, to see them as souls, not just to see them as my child or somebody else's child, but really to see them as souls, because when children come to the world, there's even the skins are so thin, everything is so delicate, that the soul really shines through their eyes, their voices, their bodies, their hearts. When they come and they give you a hug, you know that there is so much love, and it goes even farther than any personal. When they give you a kiss, they are there. They are just, there is something so sacred that happens with your child. So for me, it was first the sense of awe that I had many times. And I think that all parents, they have this sense of awe that we don't even know how they are so smart, how they give us these amazing answers that we never thought possible. Second was to see them as souls, and then to listen, because a lot of the times they had very important things to transmit to us. And then our role really, from my perspective, was to guide them on how to live in this world. Because that is the one thing that, especially if they are new souls, they don't know. They need that protection, they need that nesting ground where we can offer them, so that they can actually walk into their own path. Because from the interspiritual perspective, you can offer many different options, but in the end, each soul has its own personal path that sometimes is a combination, like when you become interspiritual, sometimes it belongs to a particular path or tradition. So we also, in my experience, I had to be attentive to what is that they were asking me, what is that they needed. And I'm pretty sure your daughter is your guide, your teacher in many ways, as my kids were my teachers in many ways. Thank you.
Thank you, Alejandra.
Alejandra, I have an answer to this question the way that I hold it, but you and I grew up differently in our different upbringings and cultures and traditions. And I know you've been in different religious and spiritual paths along the way. And you've hit up against the patriarch in those places. So my question is, because of that holding of birthing in the feminine, it's for me, it's different than a lot of the approaches for the masculine way of even practice or meditation or whatever. I'm just wondering if you could speak to that a little bit in your own experience and with your students and how you teach. And maybe in particular, how you are teaching men in that way, because for me, there's an intuitive knowing with it, and I can enter into practice in kind of the patriarchal or the more masculine way of being, and I love it that way too. But I think you get the essence of my question. So yeah, just whatever you want to share there.
Thank you, Cynthia. One of the things that I notice is that the feminine is rising everywhere, not just in women. And men are also experiencing the feminine in a very powerful way. We are meeting men that are very sensitive, that are very intuitive, that are very close to their hearts in ways that before it was almost a taboo. A man couldn't be sensitive. A man couldn't express his feelings. A man couldn't express his intuitions. He had to become linear. So I think it's easier right now to connect with the feminine than before. Having said that, meditation is a very particular practice. And most meditations that we have received from the East and even from our own native cultures, they are very masculine. They really focus on concentration of the mind, of the body needs to have a certain position. You have to be attentive to the different parts of the body or the mantra that you're saying. The feminine has a very different way because is irradiation. That's the reason that I was talking about. Let's irradiate from within our soul, because the feminine feels from within. So the one thing that I work with women as much as men, because women, even if we are trying to develop an idea of a feminine relationship to life, we are very much patriarchal, because that's what we have learned from thousands of years as well. So we might want to connect with the feminine, but the way we do it is still through the teachings of the masculine. So for both, what I try to go is really into the heart, really into the body, and try to leave the mind as much as possible away. One of the forms that I found, even with the meditation of the heart, when you really go into the heart, you become like a baby within your heart, completely covered, completely blessed, completely contained within the heart. And from there you expand in whatever form or way. That's a practice that I do with women and men. And what I notice is that slowly we start opening the hearts and allowing the heart to speak, which is the one thing that I feel that sometimes the patriarchy has not allowed, because even for women trying to speak their emotions, to speak their feelings, they're considered irrational a lot of the times. So I feel we need to go back to the basics, which is where the heart is. The heart has its own consciousness, it has its own knowing, it has its own way to relate to life through a very different way, which does not use the mind, but use the direct intuition, the direct knowing of life that is extremely deep. And whenever those voices come into the light through women and men, actually it's beautiful, because usually it's extremely wise and it's extremely deep, and it really speaks to the need of the person, of the soul on a personal level. And it's expanded into everyone. So I have found that there's nothing concrete. Whatever comes, and it's usually like a song of the soul singing through us. That's my experience.
Beautiful, thank you. So I think we're at completion, unless anyone has one last question or comment. Just want to make space if anyone else has anything. So thank you, Alejandra. What a pleasure to have you here with us. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alejandra, and the teachings you bring and the importance of what you're speaking to is something so needed in the world. So